Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's finally time to do the top 5 swarm factions in Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening. This is my favorite playstyle to play in pretty much anything. You know, if you just like making big forces and just charging in, you know, like Admiral Nelson said, never mind the maneuvers. Never mind maneuvers, just charge right at them. If that's your preferred playstyle, these are the top 5 clans to play. Now, if you haven't seen the how to build a swarm video yet, I definitely recommend going and checking that out so you know what you have to do. And keep an eye out because I'm going to cover at least one of these clans. I think I want to take for a spin using our swarm tactics. So at some point, I'm definitely going to be using one of these top 5. So anyway, let's get straight to the list. So right at the number 5 spot, we've got the Chosokabe, and I've got 1560 for the starting date where they could you could basically run the swarm build. So they've got most of the pieces already that you need. You know, the standard affair for what constitutes a swarm build is here. They've got access to an onsen, which is pretty important for troop restoration. And not only do they have access to it, it's right next to them. Like, it's literally in your main capital building, which means you can dig out, excavate that onsen right away to start getting that 10% extra soldier restoration. They also have one of the sons here, Chikuyasu, who is going to be here for quite a while, has the golden bolster troops. Plus 20% extra soldiers. So your training grounds are going to multiply. You know, you're going to run your standard package. But having access to a conservator that gives you 20% extra soldiers right away, right from the jump, and that's also going to be around forever, is, you know, now you're in a separate bracket. That separates you from everybody else. Anybody else that can have just an onsen and maybe access to standing army right away, okay, but once you have access to something like this, gold-plated, okay, now we're talking. Okay, now we're talking swarm. Now, the thing that takes that Chosokabe to the next level, that gets them into the top 5, is very simple. It's just their policy. Chosokabe militia. So militarization, as everybody knows, increases the stats of your soldiers. So most of the other forces on this list aren't going to have access to bolster. They're not going to have access to bolster troops. Okay? They're going to have the they're not going to have this drawback. They're going to have the drawback of unit abilities going down. The Chosokabe have a harvest amount decrease, which is very easy to get around. So they don't suffer a penalty for their troop numbers, for their troop abilities going down, and on top of that, they're going to militarize. And when they go to militarization, of course, in this game, they militarize much faster than other forces. It's only 1,000 to get it 50% faster, your militarization. So combining the fast militarization with an excavated onsen, restoring your soldier speed, means that the Chosokabe can maintain a very fast and aggressive tempo in this game. Very fast, very aggressive. You're gonna have a bigger soldier pool. It's gonna be restoring itself a lot quicker. You're probably gonna be one of the only clans that has access to hot spring therapy very early in the game, and you're going to be able to militarize very, very quickly. So you're going to have a lot of troops. You're going to have the best of both worlds, honestly. You're not necessarily going to have a rabble of troops. You're going to have a lot more troops than your neighbors, and they're going to be much stronger, you know. So they just have a nice 1-2 punch, and it's so good that it puts them at number 5 for me. So one thing that, you know, kind of prevents them from getting higher on those lists, besides the fact that everyone else just has their own unique package and takes it even higher, is that the low prestige that the Chosokabe have. They always have low prestige. So there are the growing pains initially. While you don't need prestige to get hot spring therapy, if you want to get like irrigation maintenance to solve the harvest decrease, if you want to get standing army, you need 15 prestige here, 30 prestige there. So there is that initial setup that's required. But you could always play in 1570, 1572 you know, pick another date if you want when they already have more castles and a little bit more prestige if you want. You know, it's literally up to you whether or not you want to start from one castle or you want to play later on once Moto Chica takes over and you have 3 or 4 castles. So to circumvent that. But 1560, you can already start off very strong. You can literally just start, get the policy right away, turn on the senior retainer roll from your son, increase your soldiers by 20%, 20% increase, build the training grounds, get Chosokabe militia, and just start ramping up right away. So that's the Chosokabe at number 5. So at number 4, we've got the Uesugi 1570. And if you know the Uesugi, you know why. So just like the Chosokabe, okay, they've got access, and most of these clans are going to, on this list, have access to more or less the same thing, but they have a conservator, okay? Kagetora. Kagetora joins at this time, and he has silver, strength in numbers, 15% extra soldiers, -7 to unit abilities. So your soldiers are a little bit weaker, but you get 15% more of them. Okay? And just like the Chosokabe, they have a way to buff up their units, of course, and that is Kenshin himself. So while your units are, you know, -7 to unit abilities, Kenshin's ability, which I'm sure everybody knows at this point, but Kenshin's ability, while he is marching, Dragon of Echigo allows him to pretty much, if I can show it here, okay, it increases all your units' abilities as long as he's fighting. So as long as Kenshin's marching with your forces there, you don't have to worry about that -7, okay? Even though it's not that much to begin with. Getting 15% is huge, okay? Especially for a large force like Kenshin's force. The Chosokabe are getting 20%, right, at number 5. The Uesugi are getting 15%, but guess what? It's 15% spread across all these castles, 13 castles. So that's a lot more bang for your buck, just because of the increase in landmass. And while they have access to the same package, okay, everything that you look for in the Swarm build, they have the onsens, they have, you know, the money to start building already immediately, training grounds everywhere. They also have the prestige, which means you don't have the problem of, I need a little bit of prestige to get standing army right away. You know, you're not going to have that problem. If you need small supply unit deployment, 10 extra days of provisions, of course. Although, you know, if you've already seen me, the Kenshin stream, you know that I'm going to tell you, Bishamonsen's Faith is the way you want to go first, in my opinion. Okay, again, you'll get another +8 to offset. Okay, so your units, while your units are going to get that -7 with Bishamonsen's Faith, while Kenshin is marching, they're actually going to be at +1 attack. So it's going to completely cover the drawback, the -7 the Kagetora is going to give you. Okay? Now, speaking on onsens, the Uesugi are the only clan, or I should say the 1 out of 2, but I think they're the clan that's more likely to actually hit the minimum requirements to get the hot spring therapy to level 2. They have access to 4 onsens, which is insane. 4 right away. And they can get a 5th. You have a 5th here if you want to fight the Takeda. If you don't want to fight the Takeda, and I understand. I understand. You can pick a softer target over here like the Mogami. Or even Terramune over here if you want, okay? They're one of the few clans that can instantly get access, damn near right away, to onsen, to 5 onsens. Excavate those onsens and they can get access to Hot Spring Therapy level 2, which is 10% more soldier restoration speed. It's insane. Restoration speed in this game is so strong. It's so strong it has its own slider in the difficulty. In the difficulty settings, alright? Enemy soldier restoration rate has its own setting. That's how strong it is. Okay, so that tells you what the designers were thinking about it. Look at the cost jump. Okay, from $300 a month to get 10% to $2,500 to get 20%. Okay, so that should tell you all you need to know. how hard the designers made it, how careful, let's say how careful they were about allowing anyone's force to get hot spring therapy to begin with, and then to start, you know, ranking it up. It's insane. Level 3, forget about it. 7k. Again, the Uesugi are one of the only forces that can do this. They can get access to 5, and they can afford it. More importantly, you have all these castles. You can plan to afford it. You have the treasury. You're good. You can Kenshin offsets that. And like I said, Kagetora gives you 15%, which is crazy. For all these castles, it's insane. Now, on top of that, you also have access to vassals. Okay? Again, if you didn't see my Kenshin live stream, go check it out. That's what we did. We have so much prestige, the Uesugi does, that you can leverage your vassals here and get even more passive conservator roles. So you could turn, for example, you could turn this clan into a vassal. You could go over here. This clan will give you 15% more soldiers, so you could double up if you want to. Get 30% more soldiers. Crazy. I don't know if these guys do it up here. No, they don't. But you have access to these guys there. So you get the idea. You can kind of use you get strong enough where you can plan your route and go specifically target clans that will give you bolster troops. Like this clan here, same thing. You can immediately tell them, hey, become a vassal. 15% more, stack it with Kagetora, get 30% more. Take this vassal and stack it with the other vassal over there, get 30 and another 15, get 45% more soldiers. Okay? On top of the training grounds, it's on top of standing army, it's crazy. The Uesugi have a ton of potential for a swarm build themselves. So the only reason they're not higher is because it's a two-part reason. Number one, Kagetora is the only one. You're going to have to work hard to get somebody else ranked up. If you plan to go through with the Uesugi Rebellion, you know, it's up to the player, whether you do or not. The other problem, and it's not really a problem, it's just that the Uesugi can run an expedition build that is far, far, far more unique and fun to play. But, you know, that's a matter of opinion, right? So you guys test it out. Like I said, let me know what you think. Like, I haven't run a swarm build with Uesugi yet, but man, it seems insanely strong to just lean on massive numbers with them and just run everybody over. So anyway, that's the Uesugi at number 4. At number 3, we've got the Mori in 1567. Alright, so this one might seem a little funny at first, right? I mean, the Mori used to be known for, I mean, besides their covert stuff, that's always been around, but they used to be known for a lot of archery-based stuff in the past games. And in this game, I was kind of scratching my head for a little while thinking, what are they trying to do? Like, what type of build do they lean towards? Do they have anything that stands out? Or this is it. Right here, it's Swarm. Okay, so you know, the prestige is there. We have the standard, you have the access to the standard Swarm stuff, right? The package, all that stuff. The thing about the Mori is, like I was talking about the Uesugi a second ago, the Mori are the other clan that has access to onsens in this game. Not just onsens, but they're the ones who have access to the second tier of onsens. The Uesugi would be the first, and the Mori are the second. So, actually, we can switch that around. The Mori are the first, and the Uesugi are the second. They have access to 5, and even more. They could potentially hit 8 onsens, which is crazy, okay? But they have access to the 5 right from the gate, which means you can hit that hot spring therapy level 2 right away. You have the territory to afford it. Literally everything that I just said with the Uesugi, when it comes to the onsens, the Mori have it. They don't have to get that extra one. They have access to it right away. You have the prestige for standing army. You have all the territory in the world to get training grounds, put them wherever you want. You also have vassal power. So just like the Uesugi, you have vassal power, and it's just a little bit better than the Uesugi when it comes to that as well. You have 2 vassals next to you, 10% from bolster tropes from the Mimura clan, and you'll get another 12% recruiting operations from the Miura clan. So you can get a nice 22% there from these two guys. I don't think you have access to them, although I'm pretty sure you can chain down if you want to, you know, work your way down here with just vassal chaining. Anyway, the thing that makes them unique, that kind of makes them stand out on top of all that, is that they can kind of create a swarm through their tribes because of their total unification. So total unification increases the limit of soldiers that your tribes have. So on top of everything else, all these tribes that you see, and they have a lot. If you look at the total unification here, it will tell you how many tribes you have. 11 tribes. So you can get all these tribes, even more soldiers. We're talking 500 at first, and then going all the way up to 2,000 when it's capped. Okay? And unlike other unique policies, because this policy isn't that like great on its own, it's something that's made to work in tandem with other things that you're doing. The designers thought about this. So the Mori actually have one of the cheapest unique policies in the game. So we're gonna cover the Mori rise and fall at some point in the future. So I'll cover them more in detail later on. But yeah, they basically have your standard swarm package, plus they have access to vassals. So you can see, starting with number 5, Chosokabe don't have access to vassals. They don't have the prestige. The Uesugi have a little prestige. They have some vassals. Well, they have some onsen access. Well, now we get to the Mori. Okay, the Mori have all of that. Plus, it's a little better. The onsen's way better. They can actually hit onsen level 2, which is insane. Again, soldier restoration is really strong in this game. It's very, very strong. And they have their own little special ability, their own clan uniqueness that allows them to make their tribes swarm, which is really cool. Someday I'll have to try this out. But yeah, the idea of swarming the enemy with tribe units, or using beefed up tribe units. Imagine tribe units with, 3,000 soldiers apiece. And just sending them as a vanguard to just whittle down your opponent. That's a lot. That is a lot of soldiers, just as tribes on standby. So, and of course, as you conquer and expand, you'll get those tribes as well. So that's interesting. This tribe is on their side. It's yellow there. Okay, I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. Okay, anyway, so yeah, that's the Mori at number 3. I don't think they have any access when it comes to their own personal conservators. But again, for them, it really doesn't matter. To me, having that onsen access is insane. The vassals will make up for it, bolster your troops, and then the swarm tribes is it just seems way too good. So that's the Mori number. Okay, at the number 2 spot, we've got the Hojo. So they are returning again. I think they were in the top 5 cavalry clan lists, if I'm remembering correctly. And the Hojo are just in the right place at the right time, really. Okay. They have the standard affair that we've discussed with every other clan on the list going for them. Onsen, prestige for standing army, okay, which is important to get more out of your training grounds once you start building them. They have a ton of tribes, which helps. We're talking swarm here. Well, they have access to like 8, 9 tribes in their territory already to begin with, and even more just because of the fact that they're in Kanto. This swarm you can equip with cavalry. Speaking of, okay, it doesn't necessarily, like, they don't have to sacrifice to lean into their cavalry at all. No, they're in the one territory that has a lot of ranch access, just like the Takeda. Okay, right next to them, I should say. The thing that takes the Hojo up past even like the Uesugi, the Mori, okay, is that their conservator stack is really crazy. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. So again, onsen they have covered. Ton of tribe, you know, you can't increase them like the Mori, but they have a ton of tribes, still worth consideration. The onsen, the standing army access right away, okay. Tsuneshige, Ujiyasu's brother, right from the jump can give you 20% extra soldiers. Right away, okay? That's step one. Now when we look at the vassal power here, on top of Tsuneshige's 20%, we can get 2 more. The Oda clan here will give you an extra 20% more. That's 2 gold-plated trained garrisons on top of each other. 40% extra. Insane. But it gets even crazier. You can still reach this clan over here, the Utsunomiya clan, okay? And get another 15% more. Again, just chain the vassals all the way down. You're a vassal now. You're a vassal now. You're a vassal down. Vassal chaining. And you can, you know, kick out the other vassals or whatever afterwards. Doesn't matter. It's for this. 55% more soldiers. Oh my god, it's crazy. It's just insane. 55% more. And remember that you can arm this particular swarm with cavalry. And of course, you have a ton of castles. 55%. It's not 55% more across, I don't know, 5 or 6 castles. No. This setup is including 12 total castles. 55% more. It's crazy. I mean, you're gonna slaughter everybody immediately. Again, the Hojo are that's just how they are. I mean, they're just in the right place at the right time. But being able to increase that cap so dramatically before you even start building training grounds and stuff. I mean, a training grounds gives you 900 soldiers. Now a training ground gives you 1,400 soldiers. So a training grounds and a half, 55% more. Each training grounds is now 1.5 more. Gives you 1.5. Look at the castle. This castle has just got a free training grounds. The capital just got a free training grounds. The cap is now 3,200. Okay, Hojo are absolutely insane. The last thing that I want to say about, actually 2 more things I want to say. First thing is that Uesugi has one of the best tactics for swarm, and that is anything that restores soldiers. So Lion of Sagami restores soldiers. So I should have mentioned this with the Chosokabe because Motochika has the same thing, but actually, and his son does too later on. Anyway, restoring soldiers gets that much better. Just like the healer tactic, it gets that much better if you have a bigger pool. So, you know, it's very straightforward. You increase the pool, you have more when the tactic does go off. However effective the tactic is, 20%, 25%, whatever. Since it's a percentage, it's going to grow exponentially with however many more troops you have now because of the build. So that's the first thing. And the other thing I want to touch on is that they have access to the best swarms, to the best swarm policy in the game, which is the Imagawa policy. Way of the Imagawa. What this does is it increases the crop yield that you have. The laws of Imagawa will increase your crops by 100 more. So that's incredibly broken. In my opinion, it's incredibly broken. It's just as broken as laws of the Takeda or the Sakai, the Suzuki clan special unique clan policy for guns. It's the top, very top of the mountain, right? So yeah, that's the Hojo at number 2, man. The vassal power is just, it's too much to ignore. And then when you consider that you can arm them with cavalry down here, very strong, very strong. Okay, and at the number 1 spot, it is the Imagawa clan, of course. 1553. I mean, you can do Okehazama, but you better turn off that event if you do, man. Better turn off that event if you do. So, or retire Yoshimoto. That's another thing you could do. So Imagawa, they have everything else that every other clan has here. Okay, the only thing that they don't have that some of the other clans do have is the conservator access. So the Uesugi have a lot of conservator access. So do the Hojo, right? Like I just covered at the number 2 spot. And that's why they're very close. They're very close. But the thing is that the Imagawa have their own conservator in house, the strategist Sasai Taigen, and he has the ever elusive, extremely rare strength in numbers gold. Okay, top tier, which is a maximum of plus 25% to your soldiers. So I covered this in the swarm build video, the conservator roles in detail for what you need for a swarm. So, you know, go check out that video if you want all the other ones. But this is the only one that reaches 25%. None of the other ones reach 25%. It's also got the biggest drawback, which is nice, because when you play as the swarm, as the Imagawa, it is going to feel like a swarm. It's absolutely going to feel like a rabble, just a rabble of soldiers overwhelming your opponent. You're going to lose a lot of soldiers, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. You have so many soldiers, you're just going to keep throwing them at them. Okay? So the plus 25% is insane. It's absolutely insane. Yoshimoto himself also has strength in numbers, so if you were to start 1560 and you want to avoid the event, since Sasai does pass away, you could retire Yoshimoto and still keep... Let me show you guys Yoshimoto, actually, because his tactic is also relevant for this. So, he also has another 2 people, okay? This thing is so hard to find, and here we are, 2 people in the same force. You know, clearly the designers had a theme in mind here for these guys. Still not as good as their archery theme. I'll say it again. Yoshimoto, the Imagawa used to have an awesome archery theme in past games. I'd like to see that come back someday, right? Anyway, strength in numbers, gold-plated. Yoshimoto's got it. Once his side passes away, retire Yoshimoto. Have Yujizane take over. Why not? You know, let that kick back. Be a conservator. Sit on the council board a little bit. Maybe puppeteer things behind the throne, right? Now, on top of that, just like Ujimasa, he has his own tactic. Does exactly the same thing. Defense increase, and more importantly, soldiers restored. Again, soldiers restored. So good. How strong is restoration? I'm telling you guys, it's insanely important. Okay? You know, if you throw a punch and the other guy throws a punch, but you recover much quicker, you recover 10% quicker than the other guy, he's at a disadvantage. So, you know, it's that simple. If you recover 20% faster because of the onset, insane. That's why it's gated so heavily, okay? Now, outside of that, they have access, like I said with the Hojo, to the broken swarm policy. This is the policy that is, if you want to experience the highs of running a swarm build, okay? If you're interested at all, if you have any interest in saying, you know what, what's the biggest, dumbest army that I can make? How dumb, how stupidly large can I make a force? This is it, okay? If you played the cavalry build, right? And that I told you, play as the Takeda, because the Takeda have access to the best cavalry. Everybody knows that, right? Muskets, Saika, go over to Saika over there with the Suzuki clan. They have access to the strongest, most broken must get built in the game because of that. Well, this was made for the swarm. Laws of Imagawa. Crops from counties with all settlements seized plus 100. Okay, that's plus 100 crops from each county. Okay, so the conservator thing is whatever. It's just an extra thing. But let me just break this down, right? So here we have a farm, and it gives you plus 15. That's 150 soldiers. You just add a 0 at the end, right? So once you cap it out at 1,000 crops, okay, once you cap it out, you're getting 1,500 soldiers from this spot right here. Laws of Imagawa gives you 100 on top of that, 100 crops total on top of that. So it just doubles it. It's crazy. Okay, if you haven't seen my Ujizane live stream, it was the very first one I ever did on the channel. Go check it out. You can see how insane the numbers get with this policy. It's absolutely crazy. Plus 100 crops at just at level 1. The Imagawa are strong enough to run it at level 2 right away. Which, I think that's exactly what I did. So we played Ujizane in 1567 after Yoshimoto's dead. And just with leading into Swarm, we were able to hold off Shingen and Ieyasu with a very weak, about to collapse Imagawa force. But we were always in it because of the Swarm, because we just had so many soldiers they had to chew through. I always found a way to survive. So the level 2 only cost 2,000 a month. 2,000 a month to get plus 200 crops from your counties. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This policy is made to do that. It's just, if you want to experience, you want to create the largest horde that you possibly can, this is it. You have access to it right away. You can discount it because of Ujizane. Actually, you have other people in the force. I didn't even know there was other Imagawas in this force because I haven't played the starting date. So you can discount it heavily. Bring it down. Possibly a level 3 is possible. I don't know. I might have to try this out myself. Try to hit that level 3 with the discounts. And just roll over everybody. Like ants swarming over a hill. So yeah, that's Imagawa at number 1. And again, it's really a testament to how strong the policy is. Yes, they have enough castles to facilitate the standing army, the onsen. They have those standard things. They have the treasury to get the training grounds as other clans. But while other clans, you know, over here, like I've covered, you can arm them with cavalry. You can equip them with a lot of conservators to really stack. 55% extra soldiers. Over here, you have Bishamonten himself powering up your soldiers to offset the drawbacks from Kagetora's swarm, you know. The Mori have their special, you know, creating tribes that can really help you swarm and just wear down your enemy. And keeping it everywhere that they go. And then the onsens with that, fast restoration, fastest restoration here. And then fast military, this is all tempo down here. The Imagawa just have plain old efficiency because of their policy. It's that strong. It is so strong that most of these castles over here have a lower crop value than most of the castles in other regions. Okay? If you dive in and you start looking in the details, you'd be like, huh, some of these castles have very low crop values. They only have 2 farms, 3 farms, you know? That's because of the policy. When they were designing the game, they said, oh shit, this thing is so strong. We better dial it back a little bit. Okay? So, that's it. Yoshimoto, Imagawa, number 1, Prioke Hazama. I hope you guys enjoyed the list. At some point, we're going to have to try one of these. We might have to do a Yoshimoto and just max out the policy just to showcase it and just run over half the map at some point. But that'll be for a future video. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. I'm sure there's got to be other swarms out there. These are the 5 that I thought were the cream of the crop, though. But if you guys think somebody else should have been in there, let me know who and why. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Till then.